I am getting ready to start our webinar on vocabulary today. Just editing my settings here, and it'll be good to go. If you guys haven't already, please be sure to join our Facebook group. Look up PrepAgent Real Estate Exam Study Group, and you can see lots of people just like you preparing for the real estate exam. Today, we're going to go over vocabulary via word cloud. I've always told you guys, it all starts with vocabulary. Don't do anything until you learn the vocabulary. When I say learn it, I mean you got it memorized. You know it down cold, okay? And as always, be sure to look for me on LinkedIn. And because today is a public one, there's a lot more people. If you guys want a more personal webinar with less people, be sure to join our website. It's part of the premium package. These public ones have a lot of people. If you guys are new and want to join, we have a promo code in the show notes below. Just look at the show notes. It says live 618. Looks like I'm looking down. Okay, live 618. That will give you guys a discount for you guys who are joining. And with that being said, let's start the webinar. Woo! Okay, here we go. Going to my settings here. And word cloud time. Okay, as we get started, Stephanie asked me about Massachusetts. Okay, Stephanie, the content I go over here is the content that applies to everybody, no matter what state you're in. The state-specific information I don't go over in these webinars because we have people from all over the country. So I try to go over the stuff that applies to all of us in these webinars. Okay, so with that being said, hi, Jasmine. Okay, so with that being said, let's do it. Okay. First one on the board for you guys who are experienced, I want you to write these definitions using as few words as possible. Use as few words as possible, okay? So the first one up there is fee simple estate. Fee simple estate. What do you guys think? Even if you think you might get it wrong, please write in the answers. I want everybody to try. All you guys have to try, okay? Don't be afraid of getting it wrong. It's a really good community of people here studying together, so I'll be happy to help you out. I do not just want to hear from the people who get it correct, okay? We want everybody to learn together. Okay, so you have fee simple estate, and a lot of you guys are writing absolute ownership, absolute, okay? So, yes, absolute except taxes. So before I get into the definition of a fee simple estate, who here could tell me what your license is? What kind of a license are you going to get? Who could write in what kind of license you are going to get? Anybody? What kind of license are you going to get? Okay, you guys are writing real estate. Who here could tell me why is it called a real estate license? Okay, the full term is actually real estate salesperson's license. Okay, so why is it called a real estate license? Why not call it a property sales license or a house sales license or a land sales license? Why do they use the word real estate? Real estate. Okay, so first off, what does that word real mean? What does that word real mean? What do you guys think? Okay. So real has to do with things that are immovable, correct? Things that run with the land, okay? So that's the real part of this scenario, okay? Estate has to do with what? What does estate have to do with? So you got the real part, which is immovable. Estate has to do with duration of time, okay? That's what they call it, real estate. Because it has to do with things that run with the land for a certain period of time. Okay, now you guys know this when you talk to your clients who sound extra smart because you know that term. They'll be like, why do they call it real estate? Now you know. Okay, it's a good little conversation piece. So the real part is immovable. The estate part has to do with duration of time. Now we're talking about estates here when we talk about the fee simple estate. There's two types of estates you got to know about for your exam. Okay, who knows what they are? There's two types of estates that you got to know about for your exam. What do you guys think they are? Okay, nope. So you got your less than freehold and freehold estates. Okay, you got your less than freehold estates and freehold estates. Okay, less than freehold and freehold. Okay. Now, who could really quick, we won't talk about this too long right now, as I want to get to another thing, the thing that's on the board. What are the 4 types of less than freehold estates? Who knows? What are the types of less than freehold estates? Now, less than freehold estates have to do with limited time. Okay, they're basically types of leases. Okay, so what are the types of less than freehold estates you need to know for your exam? Nicole, nice job. Estate for years. Jessica, estate for will. Good. She got estate at years. Estate at will. Estate at sufferance and periodic tenancy. If you guys want to know them in order, it should go estate for years, periodic tenancy, estate at will, estate at sufferance. When I say order, I'm talking about best to worst for the landlord. Estate for years is a definite period of time. Estate periodic tenancy means like month to month, a reoccurring time period. Estate at will means it can end at any time. And estate at sufferance means that it's like somebody staying past their time, like a deadbeat tenant. Boo, bad for the landlord. Okay, on the other side, you have these freehold estates. There's 3 types of freehold estates you guys got to know for your exam. Who knows what they are? There's basically 3 types. There's 3 types of freehold estates you got to know for your exam. What do you guys think? Okay, a life estate is 1. Fee simple defeasible is another. Good. And fee simple absolute. Okay, so the top of this line, you got your fee simple absolute. Okay, it's also known as fee simple defeasible, and it's also known as state and fee. Okay, so you can see all those different terms on your textbooks. All right, that's the maximum degree of ownership. But as somebody said before, I forget who, it's not free from all encumbrances because there's always taxes. Who here remembers my rule about words that are absolutes like always and never? Let's see if any of you guys have been listening to my webinars. As you take your exam, you guys should be very careful of words like always and never, because there almost always is an exception to every rule. Words like usually, almost, sometimes, those make us feel much better. Okay. Now, obviously, there are times where something could always be the case, but usually that's not true. All right. So I'm saying just be careful when you take your exam. Be very leery when you see words like always and never. We're much more comfortable with words like usually, almost, sometimes. Okay. For example, do contracts always need to be in writing? Do contracts always need to be in writing? No, but they usually do, all right? And that's a great example of it. Usually it does, but not always, all right? So that's a great example of the point I'm trying to make there. Okay, so that's the fee simple defeasible estate. All right, let's go over something else we got here. Okay, real quick. Let's see who gets this one right. How big is an acre? Excuse me, got a cough. How big is an acre? Who knows? An acre. How big is an acre? 40,560 square feet. Good. We all got to get these ones right in the exam. These ones are just straight up, rote memorization. We got to know. 43,560 square feet. I hope as you guys are behind your computer, you're also saying 42,560 square feet. How do you remember it? You flip the first 2. You have 3, 4, 5, 6. Or you just separate the commas. 4 plus 3 is 7. 5, 6, 0 is 11. We all remember 7, 11. Or you could just remember 43,560 square feet. Okay? People sometimes say what you learned for this is not relevant to what you're actually going to do. I will tell you, knowing how big an acre is highly relevant to what you're actually going to do in your practice real estate. If on a listing, it says an acre, and your client says, how big is an acre? And you're like, I don't know. That's what you need to know for the exam. We don't really need to know. It's going to look pretty bad. So if somebody says, how big is 44,000 square feet? You would say it's a little bigger than an acre. Okay, so that's definitely one you got to know for real life. Here's one you probably won't need to know for real life, but you should get right in your exam because we have funny ways of remembering it. Chattel Real. Chattel Real. What do you guys think? Chattel Real. Movable. Okay, chattel, cattle, cows, move, move. Like I always say, okay, if you remember that, you're going to sound ridiculous when you take your exam. If you're going, move, everybody's going to look at you, but you're going to pass and you won't care. Looking ridiculous only looks bad if you fail, but if you pass, you look like you're a genius. Okay, chattel, cattle, cows, movable. It's personal property. Who here could give me an example of personal property? Who could give me an example of personal property? Anybody? Personal property. Who could give me an example? Good. A lease is personal property. Good. A couch is personal property. Dentist chair. Nice job, Andy. Okay, so you guys are giving me examples of personal property. Let's see who's been watching my webinars. Many of you guys learned that real property is immovable, personal property is movable. But that is not always the case, going along with my always example. What do I use as the better rule to remember what is personal property and what is real property? So I've never been a fan of the whole immovable and movable thing, because that usually is the case, but not always. Nope, we're not talking about Maria right now. That has to do with fixtures. We're not talking about fixtures just yet. Jessica's got it. Nice job, Jessica Clark. Personal property goes with the person. Real property goes with the real estate. Personal property goes with the person. Real property goes with the real estate. Everybody write that down right now. Personal property goes with the person. Real property goes with the real estate. I want to see everybody writing that down. Personal property goes with the person. Real property goes with the real estate. Okay, so we're all writing that because we're going to get that right on our exam. I want everybody, guys, writing as much as possible. Even if you think your answers aren't getting seen, writing is a way to be active, to make sure you're taking this in. You don't want to be passive learners here. We want to be active. Okay, personal property goes with the real estate. Personal property goes with the person. Real property goes with the real estate. Why is it important to know that? Because a lot of you guys gave me certain examples that contradict that rule that personal property is movable, real property is immovable. For example, one of you guys said a pool covering. A pool covering is movable, but yet that is considered real property because it's a fixture. Which brings me to something you guys were talking about, this word fixture. Okay, so let's write it up here. A fixture. Okay, how do you know something's a fixture? What do you guys think? So a lot of you guys are writing a certain Latin lady's name, also common in Russia. Okay, Maria. Maria. What does Maria stand for? Who knows what Maria stands for? Anybody? What does Maria stand for? Who knows what Maria stands for? Okay, the M's for method. Nice job, softball strong. Okay, method, adaptability, relationship, intention, and agreement. Method, adaptability, relationship, intention, and agreement. Okay, in that pool covering example, that would fall under that adaptability. The pool covering would fall under adaptability, okay? That's what that would be. The pool covering would fall under adaptability, okay? And that's an example of something that's movable, but is actually considered real property. What is a trade fixture? Who knows what a trade fixture is? A trade fixture. What do you guys think? What's a trade fixture? Okay, trade fixtures, something used for business. A lot of you guys are writing dentist chair. I feel like every textbook in the whole country uses that dentist chair example. Do you guys see that dentist chair example in a lot of your textbooks? And let me guess, you see the chandelier as the example of the fixture? I feel like people are not very creative when they write these books. Okay, so a trade fixture is something that's used for the business, okay? A lot of guys use dentist chair. Boring. All right. But it's a good example because although it's attached to the ground, it's immovable. It's personal property because it goes with the person. All right. Goes with the person. All right. Yes, I prefer cosmetology chair. Thank you, C Gold. All right. Or a pizza oven would be another good example. Okay, moving right along. So that's all that about fixtures. What state are you guys from? Everybody really quick, write what state you're from. Let's see where everybody's coming from today. What state are you Sorry about that, guys. Woo. Well, that was embarrassing. Okay, we're all good now. Everybody can see my screen? Give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen again. I apologize for that, guys. Seemed like we had a little power outage that never happens. Then I came back on screen. You saw me with my hat off. Feels naked for me. Okay. But we left off with me saying, what state are you guys from? So what state are you guys from? Sorry, that's when I cut out. And my point was going to be, if you guys want to see people from other states, you can see them on a group, or more importantly, see people from your own state. Just join the Facebook's Real Estate Exam Study group. A lot of people are organizing groups in their own area to form little study sessions in person. That Facebook Real Estate Exam Study group has taken off in a way that I never would have imagined. So there's a lot of people interacting there, and now we're finding there's people interacting in areas close to you. Okay, because the numbers in that group are getting so large that people are starting to find people close to them. Okay. Well, now you guys know I wear a hat because I was bald, and when I was walking out in the sun, my head started to burn. So because I was wearing hats all the time, and because I'm not a teenager anymore, I wanted to get something more fashionable. So there you go. Then it became my brand. Who would have guessed that? All right. Anyways, moving on. Okay. Okay, so here's a word that comes up. Mechanics lien. Who here knows what a mechanics lien is? Mechanics lien. Anybody? What's a mechanics lien? Okay, mechanics liens are owe money for work. So let's take a step back. Who here knows what a lien is? What's a lien? Is a lien an encumbrance? Is a lien an encumbrance? Anybody? Is a lien an encumbrance? What do you guys think? Yes, a lien is encumbrances. A lien has to do with money. Is a mechanics lien a specific lien or general lien? Is mechanics lien a specific lien or a general lien? What do you guys think? Is a mechanics lien a specific lien or a general lien? Okay, so that is a specific lien. Okay, a mechanics lien is a specific lien. So he here could tell me the difference between a specific lien and a general lien. What's the difference between a specific lien and a general lien? What do you guys think? What's the difference between a specific lien and a general lien? Okay, specific lien specific to one item, usually the house. Okay, general lien is all items. Okay, everything you own. Can you guys give me an example of a general lien? Can you guys give me an example of a general lien? Can you guys give me an example of a general lien? Okay, not all taxes. Income taxes are general liens. Property taxes are specific liens. Up, Delisha said judgment lien. That's a great example. Good. Okay. Voluntary lien versus involuntary lien. Can you guys give me an example of an involuntary lien? An involuntary lien. What's an example of an involuntary lien? What's an example of an involuntary lien? Involuntary lien would be a judgment lien, foreclosure, all. Well, actually, foreclosure is part of that mortgage. So who could give me an example of a voluntary lien? Who could give me an example of a voluntary lien? A lien that you want. Okay, so a mortgage is that voluntary lien. Good. Excellent job. Easement and gross. Is an easement an encumbrance? What do you guys think? Is an easement an encumbrance? Is an easement an encumbrance? Yes, an easement is an encumbrance. Absolutely. Somebody's walking on your property. That's an encumbrance. Good. Who can name the different types of easements you need to know for your exam? There's a few to pick from. One of them is on the board, but there's a few others as well. So there's different types of easements you need to know for your exam. Okay, so you got this easement in gross, you got easement of pertinent, easement by prescription, easement by necessity. So there's a bunch you got to know. But at its core, what is an easement? So one thing I talk about a lot, we want to make sure we're not just memorizing fancy words from textbooks. If we understand it, it'll be a lot better. Okay, so what is an easement? Anybody? What do you guys think an easement is? Okay, an easement is the right to cross somebody's property to get to your own. It's the right to cross somebody's property to get to your own. Okay? There's two parties involved in an easement. What are they called? What are the two parties that are involved in an easement? Who knows? What are the two parties that are involved in the easement? Dominant is one. Nice job, Brooke. And servient is the other. Dominant and servient. Dominant and servient. Good. And this is where we're going with what's on the board. So I put up easement and gross, and a lot of you guys give me examples. And I talk a lot about how people like to memorize examples, but they don't really know what the thing is. And the problem with that is if you don't see the example on your exam, you'll get it wrong. It's better to understand why that's the example or what the reasoning is. So without just saying words like utility companies or power lines, who could define what is an easement and gross without using examples? Just give me a definition of it. What's an easement and gross? Okay, so the answer is no dominant tenement. No dominant tenement. Everybody write that. Easement and gross, no dominant tenement. Easement and gross, no dominant tenement. Easement and gross, no dominant tenement. Okay? So you guys are giving examples to utility companies, and that's an example. Why? Because the utility company has to get across your property, but they're not trying to go to another property. There's no dominant tenement, okay? So be careful because you may not see the example of utility company or power lines on your exam. So it really scares me when everybody writes utility company, because that's a way to understand what it is. It's not the definition itself. Give me a thumbs up if you know what I mean by that. And also, let's be honest, give me a thumbs up if you guys sometimes potentially fall into that trap of memorizing examples of things without really understanding what it is. So I really want everybody to work hard. When you see these examples, understand why it's the example. Don't fall into that trap of just memorizing lines in a textbook. Okay? All right. Okay, moving right along. What does the word concurrent estate mean? Concurrent estate. Concurrent estate. Okay, with others, good. If it's not concurrent, what is it? So if it is not concurrent, what is it? What's the word we learn? It's concurrence with somebody else. So if it is not concurrent, It would be severalty. Great job, Brooks. Wow, say that 20 times. Okay, great job, Brooke. Okay, severalty. Okay. All right. So severalty is when you own it by yourself. Okay. Concurrent is with other people. All right. Under concurrent estates, there's different ways you can own with other people. The two that you got to know, no matter what state you're in, is joint tenancy and tenancy in common. What is the difference between joint tenancy and tenancy in common? Who knows? What is the difference between joint tenancy and tenancy in common? What do you guys think? Joint tenancy and tenancy in common. Okay, Tamika Street said survivorship. Good. So Tamika, which one has that joint tenancy? Which one? Oh, I gave you the answer. Which one has the survivorship? I was going to say. Man, scrambling my words. Okay, so first off, joint tenancy has the right of survivorship. Okay? Joint tenancy has the right of survivorship. Tenancy in common does not. So here's my question for you guys. We'll get to the tip bit in 1 second. Okay, but first let's talk about this right of survivorship thing. So if I have a property with you, okay, and if I die, I want to will my property to my heirs. Should I take it with you as joint tenancy or tenancy in common? So I get a property with you, and when I die, I want my portion of the property to go to my heirs. Should I take it as joint tenancy or tenancy in common? Okay, so the answer from there would be tenancy in common. You would want to take it as a tenant in common. Because tenant in common does not have that right of survivorship. Joint tenancy does. Which means if there's a joint tenancy and if I die, it would go to the other owner. So if we had a joint tenancy and I die, you would get my portion of the property. But if it's tenancy in common, I have the option to will it or give it to my heirs because no right of survivorship. All right, give me a thumbs up if you guys understand that. Give me a thumbs up. Okay, so my next question for you guys is, if I am taking a property with a corporation, not a person, but with a corporation, would it be tenancy in common or right of survivorship? Would it be tenancy in common or right of survivorship? So if I take a property with a corporation, okay, so that would be tenancy in common. Excellent job. Why? Because corporations don't die. They dissolve. Okay, so it's tenancy in common. The other thing you guys are asking about is to tip. So to tip has to do with the 4 unities that make up a joint tenancy. Who knows what to tip stands for? Anybody know? Who knows what to tip stands for? Time, title, interest, and possession. Time, title, interest, and possession. So you need those unities to make up a joint tenancy. Now, a tenancy in common needs one of those unities. If you don't have any of them, it would be severalty. You wouldn't be with somebody else. So what unity between the two people is required for a tenancy in common? What do you guys think? What unity is required for a tenancy in common? And the answer is possession. Good. The answer is possession. Possession is the answer there. Good. So everybody write down the answer for this real quick since we just went over it. Severalty. What does severalty mean? Okay, we all should write this very quickly. What does severalty mean? What does severalty mean? Okay, good. One owner. I hope we all get that right on the exam. Once again, that's one of those rote definition things. And I talk about getting the rote definition stuff correct, Because a lot of you guys are afraid of the test and afraid of test taking and all those kinds of things. And what scares you guys the most? Those long word problems, those complicated word problems. Am I right? That's what makes everybody go, oh no, I hate this. These long, complicated word problems. And what I tell people, instead of stressing about those long word problems, make sure you get those short ones correct. Make sure you memorize your vocabulary. Remember, you don't need 100% to get your real estate license. If you get the worst passing score on the real estate exam, then all they're going to do is call you a licensed real estate agent. That's it, okay? So it's one of those things, do what you do well and don't worry about the hard stuff, okay? Instead of stressing about these long word problems, which, by the way, have the same value as those short vocabulary questions. So if you see a question that says, what does it mean if somebody has property by themselves? Severalty, boom. That has the same value as that 3-paragraph annoying question that's going to take 20 minutes of your life away and stress you out, okay? I do a video about testing strategies. We're not going to go over it now, but I want you guys to look that up where I talk a little more about this. So please look that up. Just look up PrepAgent test taking strategies and you'll see it there. Okay. Move right along. Novation. What does that mean? Novation's Latin for new. Novation's Latin for new. Okay, Mason Polite asked about what about math? Depending on what state you're on, you're going to have different amounts of math. Some states have no math. Some states have a decent amount of math. But even if you're in a state that has a lot of math, you can't fail because of the math. It's mathematically impossible, okay? Because let's say you have a 150 question test and you get 10 math problems, which would be a lot, which would be an insane amount of math. Okay, still, I would ask you, well, what happened to the other 140 questions? You know, so much like those word problems, I say that in the same spirit with the math. Before you worry about the things that are really stressing you out, make sure you memorize cold turkey, the easy stuff. Don't miss the easy stuff, okay? Okay, so even if you're a state that has a lot of math, don't let the math give you an excuse to fail. Don't let long word problems give you an excuse to fail, okay? Think you guys listen to those motivational speeches? Don't look for obstacles, look for the path. You guys ever heard that one before? If not, I just made it up and quote me all the time when you say it. Okay, moving right along. Cloud on title. What's a cloud on title? It's not clear whose title. A good example of that is a single woman who gets married. So if Jane Smith marries, Joe Jones, for example, and she brought the property as Jane Smith, but now she's Jane Jones, okay, there could be a cloud on title because the person owning it now has a different name that was originally on title. Okay, that's a cloud on title. Okay, riparian rights. What's that? Riparian rights. What do you guys think? Riparian. Riparian rights. What do you guys think? River. Okay, once again, though, don't remember the example. Remember the concept. Good job, Melissa Shepard. So Melissa Shepard got the concept. So what's the definition of it? Don't give me the example of river because the river is not the definition. Okay, the definition of it's a moving body of water. If you guys remember river and you see on your exam stream or a creek, I don't want you to be like, I don't know, I've never seen anything about a stream or a creek. Okay, I just remember riparian river. Okay, but if you understand moving body of water, you will get it correct. Okay, so riparian river, riparian river. Okay. Here's a big one everybody should know. A listing. What's a listing? What's a listing? What's a listing? Anybody know? Nice job, Delisha. Employment. It's an employment contract. Before you guys remember anything else, before you say, you know, it's bilateral, unilateral, find a buyer, procuring cause, right to sell, open listing, all that kind of stuff, and start getting into all these things you guys learn. At its core, and this is super important, it's an employment contract. I see some of you guys writing bilateral. It is not always bilateral, so be very careful with that, okay? I don't want to see you guys who study really hard and really try and get this thing done fall into little traps, okay? A listing is an employment contract. Are there examples of listings that are not bilateral, that are unilateral? Who could give me an example of a unilateral listing contract? Anybody? An open listing. Good job, Haley Lee. First one to get it right there. Open listings are unilateral, okay? When people say bilateral, they're thinking of the more common traditional listing, okay? But that is not always the case. You could have open listings, which are unilateral. Good. So remember, be very careful with what I told you guys about words like always and never, all right? What does a listing hire you to do? What does a listing hire you to do? Anybody? What does a listing hire you to do? Like, what are you employed to do? Ooh, not sell a house. You are hired to find a buyer. You are hired to find a buyer. You cannot sell the house. Only the owner could sell them house. You can find a buyer and bring it to the owner so they have the option to sell it to that person, okay? So everybody clear on that. You are not hired to sell a house because it's not your house, all right? So that's really important you guys know that. Okay. So this next one, I'm choosing this one purposely because we talked a lot about knowing definition of thing, not just knowing examples. So next one I'm going to put on the board, I want you guys to really try and tell me what it is, and don't just give me examples of it. Everybody got it? Give me a thumbs up if you understand. I want you guys to try and write what it is, not just give me examples of it. Okay? Can we do that? Give me a thumbs up. All right, here we go. Let's see if you guys could do it. Sherman Antitrust Act. What is that? Why does that exist? Sherman Antitrust Act. So what's that all about? Hey, what do you guys think? All right. See, it's a little harder to kind of define it than just give examples, right, guys? It's a little harder to define it. Okay, so here's what I want you guys to write down. All right, price fixing is an example of it. It's not the definition. Okay, you guys ready? Sherman Antitrust Act, free market competition, promotes free market competition. That's what it is. And that's the fewest words I could use to define it. Maybe some of you guys come up with something better, but everybody write this down because it looks like a lot of people were struggling with this. Write free market competition. Free market competition. Okay. Examples of it would be price fixing or group boycotting or, you know, certain types of advertising or sectoring off areas according to geography. All right. There's different examples of it. The most common example you guys learn about is price fixing, but there's many different examples of it. Okay. So I don't want them to ask you about an example of the Sherman Antitrust Act. And if you don't see price fixing, you're confused. But if you understand it's there to promote free market competition, and one of the examples goes against that, you'll get it right in your exam. Okay. I see a lot of you guys writing blockbusting, panic peddling, redlining, 1968. That is something totally different. Who knows what act those people are talking about? Who knows what act those guys are talking about when they're saying things like blockbusting, panic peddling, redlining? Okay, that has to do with fair housing. Good. The Sherman Antitrust Act has nothing to do with discrimination. Fair Housing Act is the one that addresses discrimination. That rule came in what year? What year did fair housing come into play? Who knows? What year did fair housing come into play? 1968. Good. Okay, good. 1968. Everybody promise me that if you see 1968 on your exam, you're going to circle it. I don't care if it asks you how old you are. I don't care if it asks you how many kids you have. I don't care if it says, what year did the Yankees win the pennant? All right, I don't care. 1968, you circle it. I promise you it's the answer. And when you guys see 1968 on your exam and you circle it, you're going to be like, man, that Joe, good stuff. Like that guy a lot. Should buy him a Starbucks someday. Okay, 1968. Okay. All right. Yes, how much do you weigh? 1968. How many kids do you have? 1968. What year you were born? 1968. All that kind of stuff. Okay, good. All right, so 1968, fair housing came into play. Examples of that are blockbusting, panic peddling, steering, redlining. All those have to do with discrimination. Okay, blockbusting is that one where you say, hey, you better list your house. Those people are moving to town. You don't want to live by those people, do you? That's blockbusting. Same as panic selling, panic peddling. It's inducing listings by using discrimination. Okay. Steering is when you tell somebody, hey, you better live there. You know why? You're one of those people. You'll like it there. Your people live here. You should live there because you're one of them. That's steering. Okay. And just think of like you're steering a car, if that helps you. You're steering a car. That's working with buyers. Okay. So steering has to do with buyers, and redlining, it says, you see that area? Don't lend to that area because those people live in that area and we don't want to work with them. They're terrible. So redlining has to do with financing. Okay. So everybody just remember this: blockbusting, sellers; steering, buyers; redlining, financing. Everybody write that down. Blockbusting, sellers; steering, buyers; redlining, financing. Okay. And they all have to do with violations of the 1968 Fair Housing Act. Okay. All right, we do one more here. Escheat. What is that? What is escheat? Escheat. Escheat when you die without a will. It's one of the 4 government powers. Who here could tell me what the other 3 government powers are? There's 4 government powers. What are they? What are the 4 government powers? Pete. So police power, eminent domain, taxation, and escheat. Police power, eminent domain, taxation, and escheat. Good job, guys. All right, well, that's that for today. I apologize profusely for our technical difficulty today. Honestly, when the screen came back up and my face was there, did I look a little stressed? I was panicking a little. I'm not going to lie. I was definitely panicking a little bit. And I wasn't expecting the screen to come back on my face. So I don't know if I looked like, oh, no. But you guys were super nice about it and super encouraging because this stuff can be scary. So I truly appreciate the support there. So don't forget, we have the promo code below. And then, if you guys have any questions, you can send me a message. Pearl, is there any specific question you wanted to ask me? Anything on your mind? Other than that, the rest of you guys join that real estate exam study group. And we'll go from there. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. And for those guys in the premium group, I'll be back tomorrow, same time. And don't forget to find me on LinkedIn. If you guys have specific questions, just send them to me via Facebook, and I will get back to you there.